We have is insurance on the cars and gas. So for cars, we're about $3,500 a year to cover them, insure them, and gas and maintenance. $3,500 to $4,000 a year. Transportation at $14,800. That's roughly $1,200 a month on transportation, right? That's two people with $450 to $500 car notes and some insurance. You got a $450 car note, your spouse got a $520 car note, and y'all both paying $100 a month in insurance. Y'all paying way more than that when you factor in gas and everything and maintenance and stuff like that. So that number also is realistic. Healthcare, he got it at $10,500. That is a realistic number if depending on what you got going on. Do you have to pay for healthcare out of pocket? Do you do the subsidized stuff through the Obamacare marketplace? Trump is switching all that up now, so come January, the healthcare is about to be even more crazy. Or do you have healthcare that's sponsored through your employer? We're blessed. My wife works for an employer who subsidizes probably 75 to 80% of the healthcare costs. So we pay roughly $380 a month for healthcare for the family of four. But I'm an entrepreneur. And when I was looking up healthcare before my wife and went and got a full-time job and we got that blessing of a benefit, my healthcare for my family of four out of pocket as an entrepreneur was $2,400 a month. That's almost $29,000 a year if you're an entrepreneur or someone who doesn't have a subsidized plan through an employer out of your pocket. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're paying way more than $10,000 a year, but you could be paying less depending on what your healthcare provider. That number is also realistic. And then he has $21,000 or $22,000 for other essentials, also very realistic. That's $2,000 a month. That could be your toiletries in your house. That could be sports for your kids. That could be, there's so many clothes, you know, something breaks in the house, the furnace goes out. My furnace just went out. I just paid $900 to get that fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like just miscellaneous stuff. That leaves you with a total of $118,000 of real cash dollars. Then you have to factor in that even though you make a certain amount of income, you got to pay taxes. So he added in another $18,500 for taxes, which puts you at a real poverty line of $140,000. Now, some would argue that that's not the poverty line, that's surviving. But to me in this country, if you're just covering your basic essentials, you just got a car, you got food on the table, you got somebody to watch your kids while you work, like you're not thriving. So yeah, that's poverty.
Well, I have to agree that the $140,000 income today is kind of like the $50,000 a year of the 80s and the 90s. There's an article by Yahoo Finance that said that 40% of people making $300,000 or more are living paycheck to paycheck. So please, let's be frank. People aren't complaining just because life is hard. Now, there's real data showing that everyday expenses are rising faster than many people's income. And inflation isn't a myth. It's real. In 2025, prices across everyday goods like eggs and services, milk and food rose about 3% over the last 12 months. That's food, housing, and healthcare. And food prices alone increased over 3% year over year. And that's after a period where grocery inflation hit double digits. Healthcare costs have been rising faster than general inflation for decades, meaning medical care eats up more of your budget today than it did for previous generations. And by the way, healthcare costs is the number one reason why people file bankruptcy. Housing costs, both rent and home prices, have grown significantly faster than wages since 2000. So this isn't fear-mongering. This is actual facts. But here's where most people stop thinking. Higher prices do not automatically mean that you can't win financially. And higher expenses do not mean you should live paycheck to paycheck. And it definitely don't mean you should settle for less than what you're worth. So here's what most people miss. Inflation is a reason to earn more, not an excuse to spend more. And inflation is a reason to upskill, upgrade, and up-strategize, not to shrink back. I know it's inconvenient. I know it's uncomfortable, but that's the change we all got to make, me included. I did this, and many people continue to have to do this for the rest of time. Now, too many people say, they don't pay me enough. It's not a living wage. But the real question is, am I equipping myself to earn what I'm worth? Again, this means upskilling, owning your financial education and financial literacy, owning and negotiating your value, and also creating multiple streams of income. I start with one massive stream of Mississippi River income. I stuck with the insurance 26 years ago. It sprinkled into other things, but I stuck with it though until my first 7 figures. And also, you got to think long-term, not short-term. Bible says plainly in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5, the wise man will hear an increase in learning, not complaining. So understanding the cost of living is step one, and beating it is step two. And when people feel this pressure, they start reaching for shortcuts, and I hope you search for things that benefit you long term. If you like that clip, watch the next one over here. To watch the full length episode, click over here.